Good afternoon. I'm here to present my final conference call to share the completed dissertation experiences of career counselors using Facebook to the academic community and collaborate with you and create new possibilities for future research. I hope to share this also to the social media community and the counselor, coaching, consultant community. I hope you will thank you again for your time in the next 30 to 45 minutes. I will really appreciate any questions during or after your presentation. This dissertation explored the experiences of those I interviewed who are career counselors who as clients, who communicated with them using Facebook, and who also receive career information using Facebook as a platform for communication from other career counselors. Usually, counselors provide advice, information, and clients on such as internships. In this case, since there are 11 Navy career counselors, they are journeymen, job strikers. They help them to connect with other agency referrals, give them advice on transitioning to different location or job transfer or deployment opportunities, advancement. Also tools to enhance their clients' careers, such as job fair, workshop, and other worthwhile career experiences. The emergence of social networking, in this case Facebook, may indeed change the way career counselors communicate, professionally or informally. But both the counselor and the counselee's adaptability and competence in utilizing the technology are valid concerns for security and confidentiality, and that's why they're still hesitant to use this tool. More of this on the results after the interview information. These are all on page 12 of the manuscript, by the way. To give you in order to really stay focused on this research, you have to state the problem, and you always go back to the goal, which is what are the experiences of those who use Facebook as a tool for career counseling, and also for those who are not familiar with Facebook groups or any career information given in this type of platform. Maybe it will help if you give me a background on Facebook. Facebook started 15 years ago, and in the past 3 years, it has evolved into a pervasive way to communicate with friends, family, and even professional networks, as it employs impending impact throughout the user's thoughts or activities and their intents. Career counselors have utilized this platform and provide information, but without any set of boundaries or let's say guidelines on how to use it effectively. For instance, the National Career Development Association or the NCA, the National Career Association, Counselors Association, or the Navy Career Counselor Association. They don't have strict guidelines on these are the steps on how you can provide answers using the page, so it's up to the counselor to set his own guidelines on the page that he can create for the client. And so this study is even more important. And as you see on the screen, this is an example of how actually career counseling is going on. Like this particular counselor is giving advice and giving them the client tools and attachment. And this is the same process as when a client goes into the door and give the same advice. All of these are on the abstract of my manuscript, but then another background probably that would help is with regards to the smartphones. The modern era of smartphones and the fast-paced communication makes this necessary. The better delivery of efficient communication, using this communication tool to relay advice messages in a more advanced way than phones, emails, and face-to-face. With phones, you can leave a message on a voicemail, but sometimes, on the other end, doesn't really utilize the voicemail as much as more efficiently as opening a private message or an email. Same thing with face-to-face. There is no written documentation when you go face-to-face, unless, of course, the counselor is taking notes. So these are all issues that Osborne, in his other fellow research conducted in 2014, these are the issues that they brought up. And Facebook continues to draw career counselors into these high-tech groups, as counselors must be skilled on this kind of computer and internet usage. And irrespective of how extensive they prefer to engage in social technologies, they should, also consider their clients' use of Facebook page. These are all on the page 10 of my manuscript dissertation. Next is, on this slide, again, we go back to our focus, which is what are the experiences of the career counselors that I've interviewed who use Facebook for career counseling? And that is specifically my question all the time when I interview and when I write this research. It's also important to consider that Facebook's algorithm and settings continue to evolve, ensuring that the research focusing on the usability and practical usage of social networking sites and Facebook for career counseling will expectantly update this current study. Remember, this research and all the interviews that I've done was in 2015, and it's now 2018. So their adjectives, their experiences, and with regards to Facebook as a career counseling tool may have changed in the past 3 years. There is a need for this study because another reason behind conducting the study was the transition towards people communicating through Facebook using smartphone. Again, there is a surge in the use of smartphones versus personal computers or even telephonic conversations or in actual communication. And the Pew Research study back in 2015 shows that most American adults, 68% to be exact, have a smartphone, which is higher than the number of smartphone users in 2011. Again, this was a 2015 research. And 35% users have tablet computer ownership. The tablet computer ownership approximately went to 45% among adults, according to the survey figures of the Pew Research Center. The significance of the study in exploring experiences of the Facebook users and counselors lies in the smartphones, closing the prevalent gap in communication between clients and counselors, such as those mentioned in the interviews that I've conducted during this research. Most individuals would instead send a text message on their smartphones or comment on a Facebook page or receive messages rather than use the phone or initiate to respond to a conversation on an office visit. And most of the respondents, or the 11 respondents I've interviewed on this research, feel the requirement for a valid career counseling communication tool, regardless of their level of experience in counseling, and their knowledge of the utility of Facebook stems from the benefits essential to their specific path, self-knowledge, individual development. So those are the actual same study that Stakuslow and his other fellow research conducted in 2017. So self-knowledge is important, the specific path, the individual development, the usage of, the more you use your Facebook, the more you become adaptable to it, maybe the more efficient it becomes. Next slide. Because of the elusiveness of the topic of this study, a generic qualitative method was used, which is a survey that seeks to determine and recognize the phenomena, a process of the perceptions and worldviews that people involve. These are on page 54 of my manuscript. And a phenomenological approach was utilized in this research. because it is more suitable for guiding and illustrating the experiences of the participants. The research design that I've used had described the phenomena of Facebook based on the experiences of the 11 career counselors I've interviewed who were using using Facebook as a career counseling tool. While the research questions were generic, the interview requires inquiries explore the experiences of the counselors providing the career advice to the Facebook page. And this research design used phenomenological questioning or interviews on the 11 counselors who detail their experiences in social media. This qualitative approach to narrative research can bring some additional insights to the field because qualitative studies are often exploratory. Next slide. Now, the interview questionnaire used was designed to acquire information on the research question for the sample population, including audio recordings, emails, private messages on Facebook, smartphones and smartphone, Google or Android applications. The interviews using telephone calls were documented by recording and utilizing a smartphone Android application called Automatic Call Recorder, which is by Applicado and was then saved as an audio file. Of course, all of this, they have consent, signed a consent, all the 11 interviews that I'll be recording them, and I will transcribe verbatim with the 3 to 6 pages of text from an average of 12 to 25 minutes of interview. And here are the 6 questions, and it's all open-ended questions, and that is why it went from 12 to 25 minutes of interview. And again, these questions, 6 to 8 questions, were sent to the members prior to the actual interview, so they have an idea and maybe they will be more careful in their answers. First question was, please describe your current job experience in receiving a type of career counseling, as counseling and providing counseling, both online and face-to-face. And how was your experience in both? These questions are open-ended, and they will answer on all sides and giving their own point of view. The second question was, from your point of view, what are the advantages and disadvantages of getting career advice or answers or counseling via Facebook versus email versus face-to-face? Third question, how did you feel when you got the help while seeking answers or advice from Facebook, which you did not get from face-to-face or email career counseling? In your opinion, this is the fourth question, in your opinion, why or why not is social media effective in communicating, especially in giving career advice or answers or even counseling? What can you tell me about the privacy issues and other concerns besides privacy? The last question was describe the last 4 advice. So they gave specific career advice, making sure that these are actual career advice, not just a small chat you receive from the career counselor page or any other social media page, whether it's your own command career counselor page, and what was the outcome. So those 6 major questions, and the rest are just simple, where you're from, things like that. But those are the 6 critical questions that was brought up in this research. Next. And as I've collected all these text interviews, I highlighted the commonality of the experiences that are evident in the use of Facebook, the email, phone calls, and face-to-face while communicating with the career counselor. The current study used inductive thematic examination without taking any pre-selected theoretical types. moving from various stages of research process, and these transcripts highlighted and then sorted in Excel columns, Microsoft Excel columns, according to the 11 participants. I'll show you later on the next slide on how it's going to look like, and put in the adjective or the exact keyword they've used from their individual responses on their experiences in using Facebook. Next slide. Here you see a color. I blocked the first column to protect the participant's name, but in the next column, this is how I describe to the manuscript, whether it's participant 1, 2, 3, and the third column is the color red there is the experience of the participants in career counseling as a certified career counselor. And this research condensed the text or interview or links between the users and administrators of the Facebook page, such as how proficient they used and how comfortable are the 11 participants in using the Facebook page, considering all our experienced career counselors. The average recording, as I've said, was 15 to 20 minutes. Each after the audio was transcribed, the following data was the most common reactions after the reviewing the color codes and categorizing them the answer. Also, data analysis were done on the comments and opinions of the 11 interviewed. No Facebook users' experience was affected by this research. The data analysis measured the relationship of internet use of Facebook by the 11 counselors using the cross-sectional information, but with some methodological challenges that can lead to misleading results because of the Facebook's algorithm. You know, the algorithm of Facebook changes like almost every month. You know, they have a different settings, and it's been 3 years since I've interviewed them, so lots and lots of things have changed. So that is one of the limitations which are described in the full manuscript. The Facebook algorithm was a critical component and variable for this because the information being communicated depended on how the counselor is adaptable to the constant changes of Facebook. This research did not analyze the counts of their activity on Facebook, but all of them were familiar with Facebook and use it daily for communication in talking to their clients, using Facebook as a tool for career counseling. This research used color-coded information, putting all their adjective, their instinct, imagination, creativity. Those are reflected in their answers. Next slide. Not all 11 counselors specified anything harmful about Facebook, but the majority preferred face-to-face as the primary communication tool for career counseling. And the comparison of Facebook to email, face-to-face, and to telephone communication was apparent in all the interviews, and there was no evident preferences in their choice of communication tool. However, the majority valued the significant advantage of face-to-face interaction for career counseling. For Facebook, the prominent advantage were the instant responses, the networking or relationship building. It is an excellent remote area resource, especially when the counselors are out of the country. You know how military counselors also travel, and it gives the user the ability to reach out in any time zone. Two of my counselors are in Hawaii when I did the interview, so we have the matched time zone, and a lot of them are also in the West Coast. Half of the counselors are in the East Coast with the same time zone. We have Texas. You'll see all the time zones in a later slide. Another benefit mentioned was that it provided broad responses by allowing others to respond on a group interaction, especially if the client posts seeking advice on a group, on a public forum instead of a private message. In this case, participant 1, 6, and 8 said it is a quick way to receive information, but participant 7 thought that it is slow, and he had issue with timeliness. Participant 4 and 7 considered that clients might get wrong inaccurate answers, but participant 5 believed that it is the right place to ask questions. So we have a variety of answers that it also depends on their number of years as a counselor, as you can see here on column 3. And you see the location. This is the location of where they were actually assigned as a counselor, or maybe they were in travel during the interview. But so I decided to just put the location of where they are actually working. In this case, half of them are on the East Coast, and the rest are either 2 from Hawaii and Oregon, California, Arizona. So there's a variety, and particularly participants could voluntarily declare their marital status, religion, sexual orientation, and ethnicity in the survey, but the study did not evaluate or use those demographic information. Participants granted permission to view their profile in Facebook, so I kind of did a snapshot on those, and that's how I got their location and number of years as a counselor. Well, those were actually asked during the interview. Participants granted permission to view and publish their unnamed Facebook profiles for the dissertation for consent, and they've signed the consent that I can be observing their participation in Facebook counseling. Here, Table 1 gives a better perspective on the type of population portrayed in the research. And to illustrate the description of all the 11 participants here, is to cite one of the participants, like career counselors that I've interviewed. Participant 10, for instance, was from California with 4 years in the career counseling experience, who have 560 clients or military personnel regarding their occupation and advancement in the Navy. He subscribed to many social media platforms, including the CareerWise public page that I've cited and the career counselor page. There's also his own Facebook page that he runs, and he valued the information it provided to him, especially this 2 particular page that I've been citing, because not everyone connects to work via email, and their distribution network is not as reliable. Due to the specific process, it takes a certain amount of time before the client gets an email. Those are some issues. It also allows those who are experts on their headquarters, maybe participant 2, who has 12 years of experience, and participant 6, who have 8 years, and participant 11, who have 9 years. They're, to mentor some of this less experience, like participant 8, 9, and 4, and 1. And so they reach out to those more experienced, get help online, and would otherwise be not available in their current organization. So it's much faster to get another, second opinion on some counseling advice. And also the website, referral to another website, telephone, nearest local agencies such as Department of Labor, Department of the VA, Disabled Veteran Association, or American Veteran, local career fair in certain universities. They share that and they talk about it, their experience. So there's a lot of advice going on there. In the first few weeks of the study, the information collected with this type of qualitative method consisted of various evidence from 11 email exchanges, the 7 Facebook chat, the evidence from 11 email exchanges, the 7 Facebook chat conversations, and the 11 recorded the telephonic conversation. And the original intention of this collection of information was to use Skype for a semi-structured interview, but due to the rescheduling of participants and the internet connectivity we've used back then, 3 years ago, we've used a smartphone and this app that you see that records phone conversation. So we interview, we record, we transcribe. As you see on the visual, those are how we sort the data. And you see the timeline, and put it on a database through Amazon Cloud for safety and for protection, privacy protection. We've used the, like I've said, is the phenomenological research information collection used for the 11 participants, the experiences they have, to give a full portrayal of their experience, including their contemplations, sentiments, sensations, recollections, the continuous flow alongside with a depiction of the 2 pages that I've mentioned and their other career counseling page that they've created. Also, a phone screening script was sent out, so that's important to be mentioned on the methodology. The Facebook page used were the career counselor page, but also they have their own pages that they've used. I think that's it on that page, on that slide. Next is the results. The dissertation's focus was to explore the experiences of the 11 participants from the career-wise and career counselor page and their own particular pages also of 11 career counselors. Some of them, they created their own page. Some of them just stick to using the career-wise page. So, and again, we should go back to the research question, which is, what are the experiences of the career counselor who use Facebook? And these are the experiences of the app, which is the result. The findings was, the focus was on these 11 participants, and they all gave positive and negative experiences through dialogue and hoping to find more answers along the way. And on this chapter of my dissertation, which is the result, again, answer the question, what are the experiences? And also I integrated chapter 2, which is the over 150 literature that I've gathered and researched dating from 2012 to 2017. So those are the areas of research that was conducted about career counseling, social media, career development. And so I've integrated this and be able to determine the career counselor's experience using Facebook. And the study involves talking to the 11 participants who have all their various experiences, averaging 5 to 7 years of experience, which is now probably, because this is research conducted 3 years ago. And the figures provided a basic understanding of how Facebook is another option for communication other than email or face-to-face. Typically, through the 15-20 minute long conversations I had with the 11 participants, all of them could receive and provide actual career advice. They all actually gave examples of their career advice. For example, participants 1, 6, 8, and 10 reasoned that Facebook is impersonal, less credible, less precise, and may end up compromising privacy, but they've all given career advice. But they've also mentioned those negative experiences, including security breaches, possible security breaches. On the other hand, participants 2, 3, 4, 7, and 9 reflected that Facebook might be a subject to exploitation, bad advice, timeliness issue, but nevertheless, Facebook can be convenient to all interviewees. Majority have agreed that Facebook builds relationship through instant responses. It is ideal for obtaining answers from others. In most cases, 24/7. Yeah, it happens. It's always open. It's always online. And time zone, because of time zone, counselors all over the world uses Facebook. So if some folks, military personnel in Japan, was awake in midnight, he can always chat online with another counselor here in the States. So according to participant 2 and 7, it also broadens the reactions from others because they posted their questions publicly and they allow group participation on the answers. The dissertation focus was to explore the experience of the 11 participants from this 2 career counseling page. One is public, one is group. The public has 16,000 subscribers. During the research, it's now down to 15,000 or something. But the career counselor group page have increased. It's now 350. These are exclusive career counselors, and they post questions there, and they also have their own career counselor page with their clients as members or group member. And as you can see, the constant shift of they prefer face-to-face, phone, email, may have shift towards they prefer a Facebook group or private messages. In the bottom right of the slide, right beside the orange background there with 2 person talking, is the actual chat or private message conversation going on, advising Vicky Young, which is a generic name, from Stephanie Chazin, who is the career counselor. So it gives them a link to the career assessment, but there was also a dialogue and response at the same time. So, and researcher, again, the experiences through dialogue are described in this dissertation. And in this chapter, which is the result, researcher will respond again to the question, what are the experiences of those who use Facebook as a tool for career counseling? And again, by integrating most of the substantial outcomes of the literature, theories, and findings, based on the 11 participants that I've interviewed, the research focus was to have determined that career counselors' experience of the Facebook page for career counseling have both positive and negative responses. They all have average 5 years experience, and the figures provide that they have basic understanding on how Facebook is another great option for communication other than email and face-to-face. Study participants number 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 9 reflected that Facebook might be subject to exploitation, like I've said, and they've all agreed that there's a positive side of Facebook. Next slide. Participant 1, 6, 8, and 10 reasoned that Facebook is impersonal, less credible, less precise. I got that. Participant 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 9 also reflected that Facebook might have a subject to exploitation, but majority of them have agreed that it builds relationship, it broadens participation, and it helps people to do face-to-face job hunting. You see here that they have a choice. They also have an addition. They can use all platform, but then you add the Facebook group there besides the face-to-face and the phone or email as an option. Next slide. Again, all 11 participants have had positive as well as negative experience, like I said. The actual words they've used are right here on this slide, some of the negative experiences include privacy issues, wrong answers, less accurate body language, not getting complete facts, information, and respondents, as you see on this table 2 on the manuscript. And as you see, the first two columns are sort of on the low and negative side reaction, and the positive reaction with low negative reaction is on the third and fourth column there. Very handy, sharing, ready access, non-judgmental, 24 hours quick access. Those are the positive reflection. Next slide. So now what? There is really no objective conclusion or even a definite theory that we could say career counselor is an effective communication tool for a career counselor. The study's theoretical implication is to explain that not using this tool for communication or technology includes being unprepared with not enough documented research on this phenomenon when Facebook finally becomes the dominant means of communication. And I'm citing Kent Butler, associate professor in Central Florida University, that we must meet our clients where they are, and it seems that they want to be deeper in their 21st century. Think of the host of problems that these new technologies will bring to the counseling office. So by citing all the 150 literatures I've gathered with the previous research, recent statistical information from Facebook, and the 11 interviews, shows that a few positive results have come out based on the research. Explicitly discussing this research outcome and implications yielded an understanding that this phenomenon of Facebook as a tool for career counselors and practitioners is not just an ordinary one, but also a vital communication instrument for adults and students, military veterans, and others. Each of the participants for this research brought a variety of perspectives on how Facebook was used to communicate, depending on the user's or clients' experience or situations. All the interviewed counselors felt the need to continue using Facebook as a tool, as a fourth option to reach out and communicate to their clients besides email, telephone, face-to-face counseling. And none of the counselors I've interviewed or users thought that Facebook was a perfect communication tool, and some of the flaw, including inaccuracy, less credibility, less personal and privacy issues, are some of the concerns. On the other hand, 10 out of the 11 counselors thought it was efficient and have all the email or face-to-face conversation just like the regular communication tool. All the interviewed counselors felt the need to continue using Facebook as a fourth channel for their communication. Again, at this point, there's no objective conclusion or even a theory that supports that career counselors have realized that Facebook can become a useful communication tool, and this initial study may open further research to others. And the premise revealed that the more time a career counselor spent using Facebook, interacting with clients, the more they could sense efficiency. However, many of them still prefer to use it face-to-face. Connecting with clients or Facebook might have provided expediency of communication, but the privacy and accuracy of communication information remain to be the uncertain conclusion. So, here are some recommendations. There is a potential for further research to be conducted with a more significant sample size, maybe 50, because I've only had 11 counselors. Maybe a higher sample size, not just and not just for career counselors, maybe abroad, maybe clinical counselors, uh, teachers, professors, coach. Um, and also, Facebook is a communication tool, but it is not perfect, and it continues to evolve, and therefore furthering this research is imperative. Facebook is a social networking site and cannot replace a face-to-face interaction, just like a telephone or an email cannot replace a face-to-face interaction, as agreed upon by the 11 interviewed users. Researcher estimated that this type of communication should be replicated like this graph that is moving. You, as the viewer or listener, have viewed my research. That's me, Dr. A. And hopefully you can pass this on or be on the public with other person reading it, and it will be viewed by other researcher and maybe the academy or other professional um, that wants to continue the research, and they will rank it according to the importance and be recommended for another study, such as maybe if Facebook is indeed an effective tool of communication, or how can we use Facebook to connect or to communicate proficiently to the client. So these are the questions that may be added, or the new statement of problems or statement of questions. And though there's one-to-many communication may permit people to initiate and uphold social relationship by distributing this information to an extensive audience, some results show that unselective one-to-mirror too many interactions in social networking sites such as Facebook declines the perspective talking nature of collaborating interchange. As expected, subsequent research can finally define the efficacy or the efficiency of Facebook as an authorized platform for communication among career counselors, considering the technology's privacy and timeliness was an issue 3 years ago when I did this research, as it continues to evolve daily. So thank you very much for participating, and I'm open for any questions. Thank you very much. Bye.